All right, guys.
Okay.
Episode 16. What's going on, guys?
What's going on?
It's good. It's good.
What's up?
Good to be
What's
back.
up? What?
Good to be back.
Good to be back?
I wasn't here last
Where'd you
Oh,
go?
you weren't here.
I
That's
wasn't
right.
here the last pod, man.
Oh, that's
Yeah, where
right.
were
You
you,
missed
man?
on
Where
the
were
one
you?
with Brent.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was
Yeah,
fun.
you missed
That was
a
a lot
fun
of
one, man.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I watched
Now-
it like 3 times. It was great.
What episode? 14?
Fifth, 16 today.
16 today.
16
Yeah.
today. We're actually, it's a very interesting, controversial topic we want to talk about today.
Yeah.
So,
Fresh off the press.
The fun stuff.
very controversial. So let's start with you. What's in the news? It was your idea for the podcast. So
true. So I heard the news on City News, and it's about how the Ontario Premier, Doug Ford.
The new scandals.
I mean, some people may not know, but
Okay,
yeah, the
yeah.
new scandal, yes. It's been ongoing for a couple months, but there's been investigation about how there might be like insider trading. There might be a little bit of like a lot of inside information about the Greenbelt project. And then they finally broke, and Doug Ford actually admitted fault this time. So that kind of sparked this idea for this podcast.
I think the issue is really more about the AG report and all the findings.
The report was
from
actually
the AG
done.
report. Yeah,
It just got released.
right. And that's why the whole news was broken yesterday.
And it was
right?
very detailed, apparently.
Yeah.
I didn't read the whole report, but
yeah, before we go any further, I just want to mention that we are not experts at the subject at all.
not at all.
We're not developers. We're not environmentalists.
Not
I have,
Politicians, we're not.
Not
Yeah.
lawyers, not
Strictly personal
activists.
opinion.
yeah, I'm no Greta Thunberg. I don't care about that. So I have no stake in this.
Name
I'm just
dropping,
reading.
Greta.
We're
Name
not,
dropping. I can name drop her, right?
we're not lobbying for any
represent. There you go.
change.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So wait, hold
I
on,
mean-
wait. Did he admit fault, or were there? did
He
say
actually, like, I mean,
did he admit wrongdoings, or did he admit fault?
No.
I think he-
that there was wrongdoing in the process.
okay, well, let's talk about what is the Greenbelt first.
Yeah, what is the actual
What is
issue?
the actual Greenbelt, and why is it so important, and why is it related to real estate in Toronto?
And I mean, it all comes down to the housing shortage. That's where this entire issue came from, right?
Do you guys?
Well,
Do you guys?
The
know
Greenbelt,
that-
I mean, the Greenbelt is really there to protect environmental issues, right? So our water, our air, like all the
All
stuff
the
that
essentials of life.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why they need to protect the Greenbelt
Yeah.
as much as they possibly can. However, based on the the reports, is that we have a very vast or very, very fast growing population in Ontario.
Right.
And there's a mandate of $1.5 million homes that needs to be developed.
No, not dollars.
No, 1.5 million homes. Correct. 1.5 million homes that needs to be developed in Ontario between now when he got elected in 2022, I think it was, or 2021.
Yeah,
Whatever it was,
1.5
to
was the goal.
2051, right? So the mandate is to 2051.
I remember recalling reading. It's the Greenbelt is just a conservation strip. It's actually the largest in the world, and it started in 2005.
Yeah, and times were different back then.
Times
Things
are different.
change.
Yeah.
Things
Did
are
they
different.
expect
Population wasn't-
500,000 new people coming into Ontario in 1 year?
Probably not. It's what I'm just kind of defining the Greenbelt. So the fact that they are making changes, understandable, because different times, different needs for housing. The story behind this scandal is just how they went about it.
Well,
That's the story.
Okay, so based on the Auditor General's report, is that they said that they had enough land to not disrupt the Greenbelt land, right, to fulfill the 1.5 million homes that they need to develop within that mandate, that timeline, right? So different municipalities like Hamilton, like Oshawa, like all these other municipalities, they can still, develop the land or develop the homes for them to meet their mandate. And they didn't need to go into the Greenbelt, right? However, certain developers put up proposals, to the, to the chief of staff or to the municipal housing affairs,
Push for it, basically.
and they just didn't know what the land was right? It was they just kind of like, okay, yeah, that's fine, right? It seems like it was very expedited. They didn't do a proper review process. They didn't look through all the they basically didn't do the due diligence.
They do their job.
Right.
They just pick favorites.
They just okay, yeah, you're like there was like obviously there was a little bit of like, you know, like some
Well, look, the
A
process
little bit of schmoozing.
the process
there.
to decide which parcels of land from the Greenbelt to give away or to sell away was 3 weeks, right? So think about when a developer makes a decision to buy land.
yeah.
There's years of studying, this took 3 weeks for them to say, okay, this part of the Greenbelt goes to
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I'll sell this to you, this to you.
Yeah.
So that's part of the problem they're having, right? The process wasn't transparent. It was done quickly.
And I think no one knew from the public, like no one actually had a say.
Nope.
This was all
Yeah.
done very, very private behind closed doors. They pieced it off. And when it's all said and done,
Well, to be honest, we don't really know how the
No, we don't know the process. Yeah,
how,
no,
how
no,
it flowed out.
But that
we're
was-
reading
I mean,
a
the
CBC
point is
report that
that-
said 3 weeks.
No, but hear me out. This is how one article was reported on various developers. Because it just really comes down to 3, and they purchased properties. I think it was 14 of 16 of their holdings were purchased way back in 2005 or even older. So this was prior the Greenbelt even being established. So they were holding land. They were implying that they influenced the government to find pockets of their holdings to release as part of the Greenbelt. So it's not just one entire strip. So they had pockets in Markham, pockets in Pickering, pockets in Vaughan.
So
So
what
they
you're
just-
saying is that the developers have already pre-purchased these land that they were going to develop later on, but then it
for
got
most part.
then
for
it
most
got
part.
it got put into the Greenbelt zoning.
These developers are benefiting in terms of the land value.
of course, yeah.
What was the value? I think
8 billion.
8.3
8.6.
8.3
It was
billion.
8 some million.
But that's not
But that
even,
was actually the evaluation in 2016.
so would it be safe to estimate, like, you know, it might be like 14 15 billion today?
Yeah.
Could have doubled.
Since 2016?
It could be
Because-
could be like
yeah.
16 billion,
It could be.
just based on
Hmm.
residential and the
The
shortage,
need,
like
demand,
inflation.
all that stuff.
Okay, I'm going to approach this from a different side. Everyone's complaining about the process being unfair. True, it is. But these are big, reputable builders, and they make good products. And we are in a housing crisis. At the end of the day, houses get built, and that's what we need. So
Right.
these builders are going to deliver, and that's a good thing.
I hear you.
No, I mean that's a valid point actually, because I mean they say that there's enough land outside of the Greenbelt to develop, but who owns that land, and does that land like need to be on a bid process? Like,
Another report that I read was saying a couple years back, saying that he was going to open up, like, hey, dear friends, I'm going to open up the.
well, that was actually already part of his political like campaign. Like he said that part of his campaign. He said he was gonna open up some of the Greenbelt
open
to
up the
develop land.
Greenbelt for
But you know, to be
development.
fair, like honestly, like there's part of the Greenbelt that, you know, where they're cutting down because they have to build that Bradford bypass up from that's gonna connect the 404 and the 400, right? That's like pretty far north, like up by like almost by like East Gwillimbury, right? Over to the 400. So that, I mean, otherwise, how are you going to get across, right? You got to go all the way down, or like you drive the small roads all the way across, or use the 407, right? So that bypass, I think it was necessary because it's going to open up a lot more infrastructure for trucks and, right? So
Well, there's some pros and cons to their plan, and they are taking away some valuable farmland, valuable green space in the heart
habitat
of,
for wildlife. But what Kenny's saying is we need more housing. We're in a crisis, right?
But why in the Greenbelt
Is it-
though? That's bigger question.
Yeah, but
Why in
where
those
can you
specific-
build in the
Why in
inner
those
city?
specific pockets?
because there's
why
no
not?
proposals they're reviewing the proposals that were available to them,
Yeah.
right? And those were the proposals that they looked at.
Because those are the only
The
ones.
land was already acquired.
Well, let's okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's not sugarcoat it, because
like
these
they're
are
calling it straight up corruption. Like this
it's
is
straight up corruption, and it's they're friends of
Okay.
They're all friends of the developer. Like the developers are all friends with the PC.
Are they?
You may, I mean, you may
That's what
shy.
they're all tied to the government.
Yeah.
Subjective. It's okay.
You support your constituents, right? You support your sponsors. I'm not saying okay. So
They're
this
taking
is why
donations from all these guys.
here's are they?
They
Yes,
are.
They are.
And they know the donations keep
Constantly.
coming.
Okay, so let me read you what Ford said. This is posted on CBC.
All right.
This is his answer, his response. The process should have been better, and I'm admitting the process should have been better. But when you're in a housing crisis, when you have an inferno happening, firefighters run to the fire. They don't run away from it. And in my position, I have to deal with the crisis.
Ends justify means. That's
Exactly.
his quote.
Bottom line is we need more housing, and he's
Kenny's
doing
right.
something about it.
Kenny's right.
It's true. I mean,
Kenny's
you know
right,
what?
man.
We have to sort of the buck's got to stop somewhere, and it's got to stop that. The buck's down there. But
So friends
here-
help friends.
Hey, life's not fair. Hey, if we started a big company, I'm going to hire my friends first, and I'm going to hire my neighbors' kids. That's just the way the world works. Yeah, but it is what it is. So let's just say if it wasn't for these big three builders.
Yeah.
So
who are these builders?
Yeah,
Like,
well,
we didn't
it's
really-
it's TAC and
Oh,
who is it?
hold
One
on.
Plato or something?
Flato.
Flato or Flato.
Flato.
There's the Rice Group.
Yeah, the Rice Group. So those are the three that are well connected. They're big builders. They deliver good products, and they were chosen. However, right?
Well, they're in for a big.
They're good
payday.
builders.
Yeah.
I mean, they build a lot of homes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So okay, if it doesn't go to them, so what is it like? So they'll go to another builder, but being builder in general, like you have to be rich and multi-million dollars anyways.
Yes.
So the people are crying because big builders are taking money from other rich builders. Like I don't know.
no, actually,
Well, I mean,
you make a good point because
point,
you know what?
good
Like, how
point.
many builders have we actually seen where they didn't actually complete projects?
Exactly.
They started
These
projects
are
and then
smaller
they complete
big, builders,
smaller
right?
builders.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I live in a TAC community. It got built, obviously. I live there.
Obviously.
Okay, so is it an Arista home? Which one?
Fieldgate, but still part of the group still.
Yeah.
They're good
So,
homes.
so is there a
They're good
conflict of
homes.
interest?
No, I
No,
don't.
actually, no. I mean, based on the merits, it's valid.
No,
though,
not to deny that they're
because-
going to build the home, but just the process itself. Like so, like it may not be relevant here, but let's just say in Hong Kong or Asia and whatnot, they would let's say have an open bidding process. So let's just say that this is the land, this is up for bids, and it's open.
But based on what Steve had just said, is that like they already own the land, so they just rezoned it to allow them to use the land now.
No,
no. When they were buying, so there was also
So
another thing.
So okay, what I understood from what Steve said is that like they bought the land. They bought
not all.
bought some of the
majority
land.
majority of these deregulated land.
Okay,
They
so
were
they bought
owned.
it prior to the Greenbelt being zoned like non-developable. Like you cannot use that land.
Yeah,
It's
they
protected
likely
zone.
had some insider information probably before
Well,
buying it.
yeah.
For
So
sure.
the reason why they bought these lands that were basically dead and not being able to develop was because when this news broke, these guys were sweeping up property just months
3
prior
weeks.
to the announcement.
3 weeks. They spent $80 million.
Just prior to the actual announcement. So can you imagine, like you're buying a IPO, like minutes before it actually comes up? Like that's straight up insider trading, right? That's why they're looking
But they're
into it in the first place.
claiming it's luck.
Wait, I don't really fully understand what you're saying there. But like, okay, so what I understood from what Steve shared is that they own the land prior to it getting rezoned to Greenbelt. So the fact that they're wanting to use that land, they put a plan and proposal together, based on the land that they already own. So they have tied money on this land that they cannot use.
It's true, but that is irrelevant because if you are for the interest of the people, it doesn't matter who owns the property. If I have Greenbelt land that no one owns, that's crown land, I would tender it out and sell it.
But is that
to
the case
developers.
right now?
No, that's the problem.
So the
they're
zones
afraid-
that they own, they bought those
so-
thinking that they can redevelop it. No,
Right. So if it's no use, they cannot repurpose it and it's in its green space conservation, space, naturally, sellers may not be able to hold it and they'll probably sell it because they cannot repurpose it. It's not zoned for building.
It's untouchable.
So now it's just the government is favoring these developers that own these land already, that are likely undervalue, or they purchased it undervalue,
pennies on the dollar.
pennies on the dollar. Now they've, I don't know, 100x their
But I
property
mean, a
because
lot
of
of
the
people do
deregulation.
that though right now. Like, I mean, okay, I get why the developer may have done it, right? They bought the land, right? Thinking that, you know what, the city is going to expand into the zone, right? The population is going to grow and they're going to have to develop.
No,
this
they didn't
area.
buy it off of speculation. They bought it because they know
Right.
that this is happening. That's the problem.
It could also be speculation. It could be both.
That
It could be both.
But that's what sparked the investigation.
Yeah.
Why would you
Right?
buy dead land? That's weird.
That was that's the question.
Well, that's the thing. Like a speculator can buy dead land in the hopes that they open up the
Right.
greenbelt.
But
it does
can't
happen.
be a coincidence where all these developers all at the same time,
True.
buying at the same
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
speculating that they're buying dead land.
Yeah. So there's both. There's
So
speculators and
they
there's one that
know
got inside
this
information.
is happening, right? Prior to all the announcements.
But it's just like insider trading. Like I'm speculating that this,
Like
X
imagine,
stock,
it's like, hey, Tesla's going to do this
I mean,
announcement.
do we
buy
know
in
when
now.
the land was acquired and when the proposal was
they're
done?
like I think it's all in the report.
Yeah. A few
because
pieces of land were purchased very recently.
very
Yeah.
recently to
Like-
the announcement.
like for
on,
example,
on purpose. It looks like a mass.
Well, I mean, I
buying.
would do it too. I mean, if I knew gas is going up tomorrow, I'm filling up gas today.
but it's so
Sure,
but
gas,
it's so
but like-
egregious.
No,
though.
but it's the same
Imagine if it's a
concept, the
stock,
same
though,
idea, right?
Like, but that's not a crime, right?
But
But if you're doing insider trading with stocks,
But
that's a
if they-
crime.
so the news of him opening up Greenbelt land is not.
No, that was just his announcement or whatever. But these developers knew he was pushing for specific pockets. That's why they bought these pockets prior to the announcement.
And what I mentioned earlier was when they slid the proposal, like an envelope to the government, they're dictating where they should deregulate and change the zoning from Greenbelt. So they said, well, these are all my holdings. Change all these.
Open it all up.
Open it all
up
up.
these ones. I don't care about the other ones. Open up these ones.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, for sure, there's corruption there. I mean, there's clearly there's some favoritism that's played. There's some bias for sure.
Oh, for sure. But it happens everywhere.
But yeah, exactly. But you know what I mean?
but
Like,
is it-
I mean, at the end of the day, if you're in a business or you're in a position to actually do it, would you not take advantage of it?
But does it constitute a crime at this point, right? Because if insider trading for stocks is a crime, you do get jail time, you do get fined. Does this constitute as insider trading? That's what sparked the entire controversy, the scandal. And now that they're actually admitting that the process is wrong, obviously the process is just him
So yeah, obviously we're not
spearheading.
we're
It's
not
like, hey,
we're
let's
not-
just do it.
we're,
Let's
we're-
just
we're not
knowingly commit this crime.
we're not to judge what the verdict will be, like what the penalty may be, or if there's any wrongdoing. But obviously it is unfair. You're saying it happened everywhere. I do agree. These pockets may or may not need to be developed because housing, yes, it's needed, but it could be built outside of these pockets as well.
Not every greenbelt area is the same. Greenbelt covers 2 million acres and it's consisted of forests, wetlands, farms,
Yeah.
For
but
sure.
not every piece of land is like lush green.
Yeah.
Like there's some pockets in Vaughan where across the street it's like a fully developed community, and then you go one road across, the land looks exactly the same, and that's protected by the greenbelt.
For sure. But let me ask you this. Why would the government not benefit themselves as a corporation, like as a city, as a province, and only release crown land? We have so much land.
We do, but that's another big topic, and I'll tell you with one simple word: NIMBYs is the problem.
What's NIMBY?
What's NIMBYs?
NIMBYs, not in my backyard. Okay, so you have all these people saying, "Yeah, let's pro immigration, bring in people. We need more housing." Oh, but not in my
Yeah,
backyard.
exactly.
No, not here.
Exactly.
Don't build here.
You know what? Like, yeah,
No,
that's a tough role for Doug. I mean, for the Ontario Premier, right? Because if everybody's coming, or majority of the people that are coming into Canada are coming into Ontario,
500,000.
well, that's
1 year.
that's what the
1
reported
year.
that's what the reported numbers are, right? And never mind, like even if they land somewhere else, they're coming to Ontario, eventually.
Yeah.
Right. So the population growth in Ontario is significant, and 1.5 million homes is still a
Look,
big
Still not
shortfall.
even
It's
enough.
not
It's
enough.
still a big
Even
shortfall,
that's not
right?
enough. Come on.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. it's still a big
Yeah.
shortfall.
But
right?
here's one thing, like how they're opening up. Like I'm all for Ontario building homes, fulfilling the need.
Of course, we have more.
Right?
We need more homes to sell.
Right? I'm all for that. I'm all for
It's not
that.
about that. What are you talking
But
about?
if you
Cue
imagine,
the sound effects.
but if you imagine that what these guys are building up in the proposed Greenbelt and whatnot, they're going to be low rise, low density homes. They're not condos. They're not building.
But every land was.
But how does a home with 40 feet by 100 foot fulfill
But dude,
the
a
need?
house is a house.
It
It
is
is
a house.
supply.
Yeah.
So-
It
is supply.
helps. Anything
mean,
helps.
Even condos were low rise houses or low rise buildings prior, and then they redeveloped the land.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, eventually, because right now it's just you're in the suburbs. Why are you gonna have condos in a suburban market?
To fulfill the need.
No, but that's
right?
why.
It's called utilization.
But there's
efficiency of
growing
the land,
families
right?
that need
They
bigger
need,
homes.
yeah, they need a detached. They need somebody. So multi-generational families are pooling their money. I'm seeing this a lot.
Yeah,
So
they are.
new immigrants are coming, 3 families in one title.
Right.
I see
Purchase
that.
a home, a detached, and then they live there for generations. And slowly one moves out, and then the other moves out until there's one family left, right? But that's how they get into the housing market.
Yeah,
Condos
yeah.
won't fulfill that demand.
Yeah.
You
No,
just-
condos are going to
you
be
just-
built
you
in
just
like
can't.
bigger city centers. It doesn't
Yeah.
make sense to build a condo in like.
Well, I'm not saying all condos, but it's just if the plan is to be all big detached homes, it's very inefficient
No,
use
it's
of the
a
land
good
as well,
point
right?
because what we're kind of discussing right now is some sort of urban planning, some sort of planning with land use. But for this scandal, there's lack of that. There's no consultation with any experts. There's
Right.
3 weeks is not
just-
enough?
it's just here you go.
No, the process
Do-
definitely is the process was definitely
It was a
wrong.
little flawed. Yeah.
Right, it was flawed.
Fairly flawed. Yeah.
But the problem still lies.
The problem
right?
is still
the
there.
problem is still there, in that
But,
like we're
well,
a
my
major,
main
major,
thing
major,
is- yeah.
major.
So does he lose his job because of this? Does
not
Ford
not
lose?
Ford, not Ford,
I don't
but
think-
like
Well,
I
the
think
housing
The
minister.
housing minister
the housing
is also not
minister
losing
or the
his
chief
job.
of staff should be
Should be what?
be investigated and evaluated if they should resign or hold their jobs.
They're just saying sorry. I'll do better.
Okay, but what do you
Right
want?
now.
Do you want them to be fired? Like, what do you want? If they're helping solve a problem, a major crisis,
Through well, I wouldn't say, but like this could be potential like criminal activity.
Well, they want OPP to investigate it.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
anyways,
yeah. But it ends justify the means. Does that actually?
Well, we still need
Justified?
more houses. That's
Yeah.
the end
Bottom
goal.
line is still in houses.
I'm with Kenny.
Like, what do you want?
We
Okay,
need
so-
more houses.
so-
We need more houses.
If you want to know why it's so difficult to build in Toronto, okay, so the most ideal situation would be to build densely in Toronto.
Yep.
But why is it not happening? You got to ask that. Well, why don't you go try and build a house in Toronto, and you'll know
You'll
know
see
why.
all the red
It's-
tape.
You'll know
there's
why.
a lot of red tape.
There's
yeah.
so much
How long
like
does it
there's
take to get a permit?
permits.
Like, come on.
There's so much urban planning. Urban planning
Yeah.
is so such a nightmare in Toronto
Yeah.
because they have to measure everything. They got to measure
Yeah.
even like the height of the shadow of a building cast.
Yeah.
They got to do all that, and that could
Shadow
take
study.
and that could take months or even a year.
So I mean, Ford is just really trying to do his job. At the end of the day, he's trying to like fulfill what he promised.
To a certain extent, while helping
Yeah,
friends.
yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
process is, I mean, it's, questionable, but at the end of the day, it's like we need more housing in Toronto or in Ontario,
Ontario.
right? Not
Yeah.
just Toronto, Ontario, because we have a very dense population now. And we're going to have people living in like rooming homes. That's not safe.
Yeah,
Right.
and
So-
not to mention it's expensive to build now because of not only material costs like lumber,
Yeah.
but we're at a shortfall of workers too.
Yeah.
So it's getting more
and
expensive.
then look at what's happening downtown, right? Like, I mean, if you go to Richmond and Peter, literally like that homeless shelter, people
Yeah.
are camping outside, literally like camping outside.
Yeah.
Right. So, how is that? How are we going to solve that?
yeah, exactly.
Right.
And these are not like homeless. These are people that are immigrants that came in from like the Ukraine or like from
Yeah.
Afghan or
Yeah.
wherever, right? Like they need homes.
Yeah,
When,
Right, so we
when
have
you
no
guys
place to house
mentioned
them.
about a criminal or not, there was one interview asking, hey, if there are any, anyone personally benefit. What's happening here is everyone's hiding behind companies. No one's personally gaining anything from this news, but it's only companies that benefit. These companies, these developers,
Well,
They can always
Yeah,
there's people backing.
people are going to be, they're going to gain
regardless.
from this. If we're going to build houses, somebody's going to gain.
Yeah.
Well, anybody solving a problem is going to gain, some kind of reward, right? Like that just makes sense.
Yeah. Would you rather people homeless, or would you care about like destroying a blue fish's environment? Like, who cares? Just put that blue fish at PetSmart or something.
I mean, our job is to solve people's problems with moving from one house to another, right? And it's
at the end of the day, man, if you could complain and debate all you want, but people need houses.
We need
man.
houses. We have a crisis.
So there's another issue here. Okay, so right now I'm like just kind of taking it back. There's another problem with tenancy. So it's really, really hard for qualified tenants to find places. Like, again, we're talking about the homeless, right? Those people are likely not qualified to even rent because they don't have 6 months upfront. They don't have the $200,000 income, like net income from a family's perspective. Now, I have a couple right now. They're finding, like, one's a lawyer.
Are they strippers?
Yeah.
No, man. No.
let's bring that back.
I was thinking that
back.
too. Yeah.
I don't only work with strippers, man.
Only strippers.
I don't know. Is that how you prospect from?
Yeah.
Oh, business development at the club. He's giving out business cards.
Handing it out.
I'm messing with you,
how
bro. I'm messing with you, but
Where do I put the card? Just put it right here.
The problem is still the same, Winston. Your problem is still the same, right? Is that
But-
we have a shortage of housing,
So no,
and therefore the rental rates are up because
the rental
we have
rates
a
are
shortage.
up, but also the landlords are so picky.
Why wouldn't they be?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we discussed this.
Yeah.
I know. But like, here's the thing. There's so much red tape for the Tenant Protection Act that landlords are scared that they're going to pick wrong, right? Now, if there's a little bit more power to landlords to actually, like, if there's a problem, they have more steps to take to actually evict problem tenants. It'd be easier for
Yeah, I
tenants
mean,
to actually get
that's
in as
another
well.
topic. I mean,
It
it's
is.
a combination of many things, but having more supply, more houses does
More
solve
supply
it too.
it does.
Yeah.
It does.
And at the end of the day, like, we just need more housing. If you want to rely strictly on building inside the city, yeah, good luck, man. It's gonna take years and years.
You can't.
You know, it just takes one neighbor to file an appeal,
Mhm.
and that could take months to a year. And
Right.
the builders are not allowed to build until that appeal is resolved.
It's a lot of
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Like even my area, like I live in Richmond Hill. It's a suburb, and they're proposed, 2 30-story condo towers.
Mhm.
It is weird because it's mostly low rise, and everyone opposed to it.
NIMBY?
NIMBYs, man, NIMBYs.
You're a NIMBY.
Yeah, but no. I want.
You're calling me a NIMBY?
No. I actually like development.
Just NIMBY.
Yeah. So
Just NIMBY.
So those
No, I'm
those
back.
NIMBYs are
One word.
yeah, they're blocking it, or not blocking it, but they're just delaying the process, right?
Yeah.
And this is why I'm okay with building in the Greenbelt, because there's no NIMBYs there. You just build, you just go. There's no
They're
opposition.
reading more NIMBYs down the road, but
Sure, but there's no one opposing you. There's no one that's the ones that are most vocal are the locals. There's no one living there right now. It's faster. I think it's faster to just go and just build, even though the roads are not serviceable yet. But it's fast to do that than just oppose Barbara.
I don't think there has been any actual proper studies about the environmental effects of actually building in those pockets.
To be fair, honestly, like even if we use the the land that's available, those lands are going to be used regardless.
They're going to
For
be
what?
what, sorry?
The Greenbelt land
Uh-huh.
is going to be used regardless in the future, and it's inevitable that they're going to have to.
They've developed
They're going to have to develop
no matter what. Inevitably.
inevitably. That's going to have to be used because we still have a housing problem. $1.5 million homes is still not enough homes,
In
It
500,000 a
isn't,
year, yeah.
right? So where else are they going to develop?
Also, one thing that's not talked about often is that Doug Ford is proposing only 7,400 acres of this project to build homes. How big is the Greenbelt? 2 million acres. So if you do the math, that's 0.37% of the Greenbelt. And not only that, he's also proposing to add more. He's taking 7,400 acres and he's adding an additional 9,400 acres. So a net positive of 2,000 acres.
Doesn't seem like a lot, but how much of the Greenbelt is actually serviceable? How much of the Greenbelt can you actually build an infrastructure
Well,
on,
as
right?
long as you don't build it on wetlands and lakes.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are, prime for real estate. It's not all the same
we need to build.
because 2 million
We need
acres
to
is
build.
huge.
We need to build.
Well,
Yeah.
wait, has anyone asked who came up with the Greenbelt designation? Like,
Wasn't it the
I think it was
Liberals
like
back in 2005?
it's like they just
2000.
mask, on a map, just draw.
Liberals or
big-
Green Party or who was it?
I don't know. Comment on the comment
I don't
section.
know,
Does
man. I
anyone
was
know?
a kid
No
back
idea.
then, so who knows?
Well, I'm sure there was like an environmental study that was done, and they said, okay, this is the area that we got to protect.
Yeah.
Right. And there's purposes why they need to protect that.
But don't
land.
they have like Algonquin Park? That's pretty big.
No, well, the
But
thing is,
the Greenbelt is near the city center.
So the-
here,
the
right?
Greenbelt-
Algonquin Park is like 2
Yeah.
hours north, bro.
no, the Greenbelt is there to protect because, like, what we may
I
not.
thought they opened a Pacific Mall over there in Algonquin. That's what I heard.
I think what we fail to
Algonquin's
look
parcel.
at is like everything that we do, whether it's like water, soil, or like just overall like erosion of the land. It could have a lot of long-term consequences that we don't know.
It's not going to be perfect. There's always going to
Yeah.
be some sort of negative, but I'm thinking the benefits outweigh the negatives.
Yeah, Greta would say something about that, but
Yeah,
he's right though.
Screw Greta, man.
Listen, we need houses. We have a crisis. We have to build.
we
Yeah.
do have a housing crisis.
Okay, so
But
devil's
there's gotta be
advocate.
solutions
So
too, right?
this crisis, who created it, and can we stop the inflow of immigration? Or I mean, to an extent.
I know who started it. man. Why are you
That's true though.
But I mean,
I knew you were gonna say it.
but it is.
I knew you were gonna say it.
It
But
is.
okay, where's the problem from?
Well, it started with his father.
just
no,
bringing
he
people in?
started
He
immigration.
opened up the floodgates, didn't he? So if you want
he
to
allowed immigration, which is what we needed
yeah.
to continue
So
to
it
grow
started.
the population.
It started
But
when our parents got
he
here,
turned the
right?
volume up, bro. He turned the volume up.
Yeah, he cranked it up.
We're allowing like 200,
Fire up
maybe
the
300,
amps.
right? I don't know, whatever the volume was.
Yeah.
But he turned it up to like 1 million, right? Like 1 million new immigrants a year, right? Versus like I think it was 400,000 to be honest.
But
Right,
I don't
so-
see that as a bad thing.
No,
right?
I think.
Well,
we need immigration.
therefore we have a bigger
And
problem.
we have a
The
problem.
problem is
Exactly.
that like they didn't set up a plan for them to turn the heat up.
no, but
He's turned
play
up
it by
and-
ear.
but I'm definitely
Just play it by ear.
pro immigration for sure.
Yeah.
Coming into to Canada, populating different provinces, but the only issue is it's unchecked. People leave their provinces, so
They'll
inter-province.
drive to Toronto.
Well, yeah,
from, like,
inter-province
Manitoba or something.
travel is pretty much unchecked. There's no issues there. Like, what if people traveling between provinces they have some sort of way to say, hey, I'm moving here to buy, but I'm out of province. Maybe there's a tax on that. That controls some sort of regulation. Like,
I mean, I hear what you're
Discouraging.
saying. I mean, that they kind of do that with, like in places like China.
North
Right, where they
Korea.
have-
North Korea.
Okay,
What did they do?
but I mean,
In North Korea?
They restrict people from.
but listen,
Moving
our
from
population of Canada is like 40 million,
It's 40 million now.
right?
There's more people
It's
in California than there is Canada.
it's like 40 million, man.
Seriously.
Like we don't need to put a tax on like inter-province like buying, right? I mean, the states, they have a bigger population. They have like they're almost 10 times ours, right? And they can interstate travel without.
It seems like they have less of a problem than we do.
They still have a housing.
They have a
problem
housing
there too.
problem
They
as
have a housing
well.
problem there too. Don't let's be real, right? But anyways, we're all having North America has a big problem because immigration is coming to North America.
And I think Ontario is like one of the highest in North America too.
Oh yeah, no, it's probably the highest. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
think
have
so.
a biggest
right.
problem for population growth.
Yeah. So what do? Do we just wait around for these permits to be, through the pipeline in Toronto? I mean, that's the ideal situation, but we're going to be waiting many, many
Well, I
years.
mean, right now the
but
problem
people are
is-
coming in now.
That's actually the problem.
Yeah.
I honestly
Why don't
think-
why don't they limit people coming in now so that we can actually catch up?
No,
Instead of like
no.
continue to
I would
open it
slow
up
down.
for
Limit it.
floodgates.
No. I would definitely keep the floodgates open still, and resolve the problem by actually reducing some of the red tape, like unravel some of that, like unnecessary.
There's gonna be fraud.
No, not fraud, but I mean, you have to,
corruption.
open up these
This is
approval
corruption
process.
today, though.
There's too
We're
much
talking about
process,
that.
too many layers, and
Yeah, I know.
It's too
but
liberal.
That's ideal, but is it going to happen?
Well, that's part of the government. The government
We
has
can- we
to.
can't
You
control
can
Have
wait.
solution.
You can keep waiting, I guess, or you can start building on the Greenbelt now.
But what are the other alternatives of not like why Greenbelt? Why not other places? Why not different pockets?
Because it's right
Why
next. It's right
specifically?
in the city.
Where
It's
would you
in the
think?
city.
Yeah,
East, west.
No,
But it's all-
Greenbelt-
no, the Greenbelt is-
goes across Ontario.
it blankets, like it surrounds the GTA. Like it goes from Niagara Falls to Hamilton, and then up north, and then it goes to
Vaughan,
Coburg or
Markham,
something, or
Richmond.
Romanville.
It basically
Yeah.
it
It
surrounds
surrounds-
where
surrounds
the
everything.
population is right now. So you got to develop.
You gotta go.
develop through it.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, you have to skip through it, and then it's like
Yeah, on the map, it kind of looks like it's choking the city a little bit. It's like it's full circle, like it's all the way around Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did it because they wanted to prevent urban sprawl. But 2005 and 2023 is a different time. Like, I don't think they anticipated this many immigration into Ontario. Things change, and we gotta adapt as well. So,
Because once this starts, then it's going to be all the Greenbelt's going to be up for grabs because of precedents.
yeah,
well,
yeah.
no, I mean, so
Th-
okay,
that's- that's
like
gonna be
Kenny
the
said,
argument
like Kenny
as
said,
well.
they basically they're using 7,400. Sorry, 7,400.
7,400, 0.37%, and people are
And then
freaking
they're
out.
adding in 9,000.
Yeah,
Right.
No,
Right, but
I
once
think-
that starts, then it's be I can build next to that community.
No, but the
I can
general
build next to-
public is
But
they're
as long
not.
as the purpose is still being served, like as long as
we fill.
No,
yeah.
but you guys
No.
missed the point. You guys missed the point. The problem here is not the amount of green space being taken. That's not the dispute. It's just behind the closed doors that they're just feeding their friends and letting them have their
I
way
think
without
that is
without
true, though,
even
yeah.
I think Winston's
without
point-
even
Okay.
Yeah, but we're
publicly
saying,
known.
scandal aside, we need more houses.
Yeah, we need houses.
We need to build now.
But it's I understand,
Right?
but it's
Like-
not really. It's not a proper approach. It's not transparent. Like you cannot say it's above board.
Well, it's not like any one of us can go, hey, I want to buy a piece of land. Let's say we have money. We're not part of that group. We're not part of the inner circle. We're not able to participate in that sprawl.
And these are big builders. So would you be? I would be more upset if Doug Ford gave it to like these tiny dinky builders that are not reputable, and they have access to that.
Well, they didn't even get a chance. Like,
yeah, exactly.
No one even knew.
Yeah, but these are big builders.
There are other big builders.
I mean, if you have
these
if you
are
have
very
to build a
select
master
few.
plan community, would you use a dinky builder to do it?
Of course
Or would
No,
you
no.
use
Well,
a
you don't
big
use,
builder?
okay.
They
Let's
would
just say
probably have gotten the contracts anyways.
let's
let's
just
be
say
honest,
not using
right?
like a
If
run
they
of the mill.
if they were to bid on the land, development, proposal to the city, the government, they'd probably be being the developers anyways.
No, but I
Listen,
think
you're gonna go with that.
I think if these developers were to purchase it on the open market, they would at least come close to market value. They're scooping this up, pennies on a dime, pennies on a dollar, and that's what people see it unfair because they're buying it way below market for the amount of gain that they're gonna.
It comes back down to like it's
So like
insider trading.
So like Richard
right?
said, I mean, 2016 valuation at 8.3 billion. Their property all of a sudden shot up like 16 billion.
20 bill, who knows?
Who knows?
They-
Quite a lot.
For all
more.
we know, they already, purchased their G7 planes, all their bonuses, all their parties.
As long as they continue to put the money back into our country or our province, I don't see an issue with that.
Who's to say that they will though? Right?
Well, they're
like
they're
what
still
if it goes
developing,
outside?
building
Like I mean,
homes,
They're still developing homes, right?
Some are asking, hey, should this decision or these allocations be walked back? But because of the process that it wasn't open, it happened so fast, matter of weeks.
no one had time to dispute it at all. Anyways,
Should these decisions
No one
be
had time
walked
to
back
review.
because Doug Ford and the chief of staff claim that they don't agree and they have no knowledge?
they said like, "Oh, I'm incompetent. I didn't know anything about it. This just happened behind my
Okay,
back."
so should we stop immigration until we figure this out?
Yeah, I was just gonna
Like, say,
say,
like,
should we
people are
stop
still coming.
construction? Should we
Stop everything until we figure out what's right and what's wrong.
That's a good question, but it's not a question for me. It's a question for whoever.
You're
whoever
just
brought
putting
up.
it out there.
I'm just putting it
Just
out.
put it out there.
It's a good question.
It's something to discuss, something to think about.
Okay, so like bottom line is that it's just gonna slow things down.
Slow things down, man.
Like based on your proposal,
Dog's
like
breakfast, man. It's gonna be.
it's just gonna slow things
Well,
down,
there's-
and you know
there's
what?
no-
Our need is not gonna be met.
So let's just say like
Let's take a vote right now, okay?
if we are
I think it's 3-2. Hey, Winston, I'll give you $50 to change your vote.
Hey.
Insider trading.
Hey guys, focus.
Listen.
Focus.
Yeah, that was shady. We understand that. We
Yeah,
understand.
no,
it was
we
shady.
all
The
agree
comment
that
is-
we all agree that
we
it's
all
a shady
agree.
process.
Yeah.
The process is flawed.
Yeah.
And they didn't go through the right protocol.
But there's other issues, man. Why don't you, okay, you have a house, Steve. Why don't you house 100 immigrants until this issue gets resolved and then they can move out and do that? See, exactly, right?
Well, it shouldn't be on my plate. It's
Well,
obviously
hey,
the
listen,
government.
if the 4 or 5 of us do it all together, we can take 10 immigrants. You can take 10.
No way.
Let's start it here right now, grassroots level. Let's just no, but see, I understand what.
And these are the things with being a NIMBY too. Like, okay, well, I'm not doing it. Someone else do it,
Focus.
right? So
I would say do it, but do it in a manner where it populates the entire.
Yeah, you want it
Entire
fair. You want it
Canada.
equitable, of course. We don't.
But life's not fair.
We don't condone what was supposedly happening, right? But does
But
it get
is it-
results?
But is it a surprise?
I mean,
not really.
Not really.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
I'm
At
not
the end of the
surprised.
day,
Yeah.
is it?
Government corruption.
It's
Oh my
not
God!
like-
What are you talking about? It never happens.
It's like
It's brand new.
we have the best government in the world.
Yes.
Spotless.
No.
No corruption.
But like even developers, who develop privately,
I think,
what,
okay,
what are
so-
they doing to grease the wheels there, right? Like to get.
So
I mean, it happens
bottom line is that
everywhere.
like yes,
It
the
does.
fault there is the process was faulty.
Yep.
And
Agreed.
but yet we still have a need for more homes. So I mean,
Okay.
it's essentially like
it's a
Ford's way
love-hate.
of expediting the process.
So a love-hate
try to get
situation.
the-
Love hate. Yeah.
It's bottom line. That's it.
Okay,
You love
final
to hate
thoughts.
'em.
Final thoughts. So okay, let's go around the table. Who's like, who is okay with building on the Greenbelt? Go, Rod.
I'm
Are
okay.
you yes or no?
Yes. I'm absolutely yeah.
Okay,
I would say
yes or no?
I would say it yes.
Oh,
Okay.
$50
I would
worth.
say yes.
Change your vote.
Like, I mean, yes to a certain extent.
Oh, no, there's only
No,
yes or
that's
no.
a-
no, no.
that's a yes.
There's only yes or no.
Okay, I'm a yes too. Richard is a yes.
Obviously.
I'm definitely overwhelmingly yes.
There you
What?
go.
After all that, I don't understand.
No, it's the process that I have a problem with. It's not the building. It's not the homes.
No issue.
I offer no money
Steve,
to
no,
him.
you know there's a-
100%.
But fairness
that doesn't make-
and
that doesn't-
feelings.
Of course.
No, but you. Steve's saying it from a perspective of equity, right?
No,
so
no.
you're saying transparent, but you do agree there's a crisis and you want more homes.
It's
To
something
address this
that we
crisis.
need.
The,
Yes.
So-
the question is if we need a housing and if we need to build on
that was
green
the
space.
question.
That was the question. And that's objective because we do need it and we need to build. It's a totally different conversation when we're talking about how it was approved.
Okay, so we're all yes. So we're-
Yeah, from
we're all-
from a standpoint
Yeah.
of whether or not we need to build homes, yes. Building on Greenbelt, sure.
Well, I agree that
But-
the Greenbelt should be preserved.
Should it
However,
be done
it should
correctly?
be done properly.
Yeah.
With the proper study and saying, okay, these areas can.
It needs to be
used.
done. Yeah,
These areas, should be protected because it's.
because it affects water
Right.
flow. Yeah, that's
Okay.
my stance as well.
Okay, so that's all. Okay, let's all agree on that. So the most ideal situation: build in Toronto, but NIMBYs, we got to build outwards. Done.
Yeah, that's
Good.
fair.
Fair.
Cool.
Yeah, fair.
Cool.
I agree.
Good pod, guys.
Good pod. No fights. Okay, cool, man. Later, guys.